counties, and even a sketch of the old Capitol building that burned in 1881. A free and independent Republic of Texas was officially
Test, test.
the mic, but at least to call the meeting to order. How are ya? And it would be able to, sit right here. We're all ready to go. Catch your audio. So the people at home can't see, but I had to stream zoning commission discussion. Y'all leave, when the council leaves, the zoning commission will go on riot.
I do have this mic facing here, so.
Yeah, 8:30, right, sir?
Like if you. Okay. It might, thank you.
Is this considered part of the zoning meeting? Okay.
So I'll explain.
Okay.
So, so it's a double joint meeting. So the mayor will call the. Y'all are just gonna have a discussion. After the discussion, and then y'all will begin the zoning commission meeting. Y'all have one item this evening. The zoning commission will I would recommend that y'all go. Because it will be in front of y'all.
Citizens, I mean.
And that's why I said they can be here, but I would recommend that they don't them for approval.
Oh, I see.
On the item while it's here, public posting.
Yeah, I am.
Are they back home or are they still out there?
I know.
have a rabbit
You know, that's not
family.
always
Darby, Charlie, Martin.
as much as I'd like it to, yeah.
I won't be here. I'm gonna go home and watch the bird.
Yeah, no, I agree.
Apple pie and then it was ice cream and now. It's normally a food item. I'm the one that makes it.
You need to take your act on the road sometime.
I know. She was supposed to have it.
Okay. All right, it is 7 o'clock. And I will call the Special City Council and Planning and Zoning Commission joint meeting to order. Today is Tuesday, April 28th, 2026, since approximately 7 p.m. And we do have a quorum from the City Council. All City Council members are present. And I'm passing it to Chair Mata to open up the Planning and Zoning meeting.
All right, it is 7 p.m. and I'll open up the planning and zoning meeting or get this started. I guess we'll do the pledge. Do you want to lead us in the pledge?
And to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with
liberty and justice for all.
So agenda item number 2 is citizens to be heard. Do we have any citizens in the chambers that would like to address the council and Planning and Zoning Commission? Seeing none, then we will go to presentation 3.1, discussion on updating and amending Chapter 15 zoning, Article 15.02 zoning ordinance, Division 7 permitted use table. And we have Michael Gallardo, our Planning and Zoning Director, and the Chair, Eric Mata, to begin the discussion.
Just because of some of the specifics on quorum and attendance, do you want us to be specific about planning and zoning portion of attendance? Correct. Okay. Yeah. Okay, all right. So Mr. Gallardo, if you could take, would appreciate it, I guess. Are we running cameras now, or?
David Perry. Andrea Roof. Abraham Diaz. Johnny Britt. Olin Yarnell. Eric Mata. Russell Hernandez.
I didn't hear from Russell. I did hear from Andrea. She said she would be here, so she might be a little late. So, all right, very good.
Just to give y'all a brief recap. So the zoning commission was tasked with reviewing the permitted use table. This should be done every so many years. Whatever changes or recommendations that they have to the permitted use table would then go to city council for approval. The zoning commission, I think, thought it was appropriate to have a kind of open discussion before they sent their final recommendations to y'all for approval. And so this is just an open discussion, and the lead of the conversation should be led by the zoning commission to kind of go over their changes. Did you do an actual PowerPoint, or you just the presentation, Michael? No, we just through it, okay. So, it's up to y'all how y'all want to handle it. If y'all reviewed, the packet, or if the zoning commission had areas of concern that they thought, that the council may have concerns with, or hot topic items, you can kind of just go over those. You don't need to go over each change. You just need to touch on the items that you think would provide the council with concern before you provide your final recommendations to the city council. So this is just an open discussion, open forum. We're going to try really hard to hand mics around. So me and Mike are just here passing these 2 mics around. We do have 2 mics, so we're going to do our best to try to catch things for the camera for the audience at home. I am trying to keep this meeting to about an hour or less, so that way you can move on to your second item.
Possible to move that ball microphone?
It's not that kind of mic. It's set up to go to like our online, like GoToMeeting, Zoom. That's how it's not connected. It goes out to the people. It goes out to a different feed.
I just want to provide a little bit of clarity on the layout of the agenda. So the first set of pages, which is 1 through 18, that's the permitted use table. And in August of 2025, we deleted the sustainability district and then the commercial industrial district. So that first table, you're going to see it striked out for those items, right? The second one is a summary of the recommendations made by the Planning and Zoning Commission. So it doesn't mean that we deleted, we didn't go down from 18 pages to 5. I just condensed what they touched and provided that to you. And then the other attachments are going to be the definitions and district regulations. Any questions on that?
Is there anybody on the zoning commission that wants to open up the discussion on the changes that you made to the permitted use table?
I move we open the discussion on the changes that we've made over the last series of meetings.
Any comments you want to make off of that?
No, I'm.
Take the mic.
On to page 21.
Take the mic.
Um,
So you're going to start the discussion. There you go.
Okay. The preliminary, up to page 20 is just the old items. 21 starts the changes. The changes are in blue. Most of the changes that we decided to add an SUP were done to bring the issue first to the zoning commission and then to the council, rather than have an automatic authority. So the items will be reviewed even if it's normally not controversial. It comes before both bodies for a review and a vote. Any questions on, does anybody have any questions on any of your blue pages?
This is just a summary that you sent.
We can share this if you all want to get together. That's hard to read. We've got to improve that.
There should be color.
I mean, to have the whole screen. and
I'm,
you gotta look at it.
just give me a second. Hold on, guys.
Okay,
Go here.
There you go. That's my.
there we go.
That might be good.
Top of it says like,
Be the one over the screen. Oh, there's Andrea, so. Andrea's here at 7:07, so we should probably reflect that in the minutes. I don't think it's too dark at all, no.
Page what?
Mayor, you got a question about 21?
It was about bar. And I think that was about the item that's just below it and trying to simplify things, consolidate, you know. I think that was something we spoke about, trying to simplify it.
Duplication, we thought, so we eliminated bar, and it's down below in the next line.
And I just want to say Russell played a really big role in kind of simplifying this and breaking it down. He had some great ideas, so. And Russell Hernandez, let's see, arrives at 7:08, just for the minutes, for the record.
I have a question. I've seen all the changes and I went over it a couple of times today. And thank you so much for doing the work. It looks like a lot of work. What I want to know is, what obstacles did you guys have to endure to do these changes? What made you want to do these changes? And how is it you think it's going to benefit this program or this ordinance? And what obstacles, were there any one of y'all that was against it, and why? And some of them were for it, and what is it that, the hurdles that you guys have to go through?
I just want to say, it was our understanding that this needed to be updated, that we were well past that point. I think
You should do it every 7 years, and I couldn't remember the last time we did it, so that tells you.
Yeah, I think we look back at some dates going back to like 2009, was
Yeah,
it, 2010?
Yeah, something like that.
So I think, yeah, we felt the need to try to get to work on that. I think we were all pretty much in agreement. I don't think we really got hung up on anything. You guys remember? I think we worked together in trying to simplify this and just common sense changes that would make this easy for the city, for staff, and for businesses. And again, I think we talked about trying to be business friendly, but, you know, using common sense. Anyone want to add to that?
Well, when someone had a question, they brought it up and we all discussed it, and we were able to sort of look at it from different points of view and arrive at a consensus. And usually, the person who brought it up had deep thought on it, and it made sense what they were requesting. There wasn't any big controversies that I remember.
I think you guys did a great job. I was just wondering what obstacles.
I don't think we had any obstacles. The reason why I don't think we had any obstacles is because Commissioner Russell, I mean, made this very easy for us. I mean, I would basically say he authored this, and he came up and he said, look, hey, this is what I've seen, this is what I recommend, and we went through this at a very easy, simple pace that he made it simple for us. So What, well, I mean, he explained a lot of what needed to be in his research. So, uh, that's why I say he's basically the author of this, and he did a real, give him credit for the work that was done on this. Made it a lot simpler and easy for us. I don't know if he wants to say or chime in anything on this, but
He came at it from a different point of view than many of us. He's a new member, which is good. It gives you another point of view from the other side of the table, so to speak, and that's what he provided.
Maybe Russell talk about how you formatted it. I think that was the thing, how we looked at it, big picture wise.
I think that all of us looked at this chart initially, and we're just sort of like, where do we start? And seeing the chart and realizing it stands in context with the zoning descriptions, as well as the geography, like where these zones are currently in our community, like and how many of them are there, what are they adjacent to. All of that I realized there was maybe these different layers of looking at the information, and then having a better understanding of the context, we could then reapproach this, and maybe there's trends already in a bigger sense that could simplify. And we realized that, there was a lot of similarities between the O1 and B1, and there's a lot of similarities between the B3 and the I1 zoning. And so, and then both in similarities in the descriptions of the zones, as well as things in the geography where they're laid out and maybe how significant they are and what they're adjacent to, that it may be simpler just to align O1 and B1 together, as well as align B3 and I1 together. So that ended up being a lot of what the simplification maybe was, and allowed it to simplify our looking at it. So then we mostly, if there was any discrepancies in B2, we sort of looked at the horizontal categories, the specific, permitted use categories a little more closely to determine, is this something that belongs more in one direction or the other?
SUP, then an X, red exit, so you're saying no SUP for that automobile auction?
So,
That means this would be.
so what the X was is what it previously was before P and Z made a recommendation. So what's in blue is what P and Z recommends. So for example, let's look at antique store under office district. If you look at it, it was not allowed
Okay, right.
due to the red X.
Permitted.
So now it's permitted per the recommendation of P and Z.
I was wondering why the committee felt like it was needed.
If you're specifically talking about antique store and art gallery, I recall, or
Because the use for those are typically higher uses, and you want to regulate them if you're gonna allow them in that district. Like you may wanna regulate operating hours, you may wanna regulate noise, you may want, so it wasn't allowed at all before. And now you're saying, okay, we will allow you, but you have to come get an SUP. That SUP council would set the guidelines of their operations under the SUP. Correct.
At the same time, you're also safeguarding the city.
yeah, and I don't think it was like a blanket approach. I think we looked at individual categories and took a common sense approach to some of it. And I think there was some context about the history of the community and just why that would have been the case in the past and why maybe that doesn't apply now. So yeah.
And so Russell, did you have a background in planning before you got on the planning and zoning in your prior work experience? Uh-oh.
Let me take it.
Well, I think I'm naturally inclined to organizing these sorts of things, but I am in the urban and regional planning program of UTSA. I was already in some classes here in the fall, and still am. But yeah, otherwise we use the SUP as we realized there was a precaution. There's maybe information we don't know or context that we don't know for why this was already established as a no-go in this zone, and so as we were aligning them, we realized, okay, well, because we don't know all the things, let's at least do the SUP rather than blanket allowing it in the zone, just so that there's an extra layer of decision-making. Yeah.
So I had a question. So number one, thank you for all your hard work on this. This is quite a chore. I missed those meetings on purpose because I knew it was quite a chore. I don't understand the word, maybe I don't understand what the word use means. Right under automobile record service, and then it says use. And then I see it further down in the next page. What does that mean?
So that just keeps you from going all the way to the top to see what the categories are. So I stuck them in there.
Got it, okay. All right. And then, was there any thought of eliminating the need for SUPs in some of the different areas? Was that a consideration? So there was an item that went before, I think, y'all as well as the council, which was the
The accessory or the
well, not the bail bonds, but it was the
cosmetic.
Cosmetic.
Yeah.
Okay, that's in a building that has already similar type retail outlets or service outlets. And I just didn't understand why that needed to be an SUP. What was so special about that? And that was one of the comments I made that evening and saying, well, why can't we make this simpler? I don't understand why that particular applicant had to come before the Planning and Zoning Commission and then 2 reads before the City Council. And that's why, was there any thought of y'all, business friendly, trying to eliminate some of those hurdles?
I think we try to keep in mind the fact that ultimately this would come to you guys for approval. And, I mean, ultimately, as the elected officials, you have the ultimate say on this. You know, we're here recommending these changes. So I think it was the idea that, you know, you guys look at our recommendations, but at the same time, you determine, is this something you'd want to mess with? But that's specifically when it came to, was it like a nail salon? What was that?
As I remember, there was 2 things. There was 2 things. One, it backs up to a residential, which is a requirement for an SUP, which the back of the building backs up to the residential, and that happens in other areas, and I think we might need to address that because what happens in this particular business is not going to affect the residential behind them at all. So perhaps we should look at that.
The reason why I'm asking is that there was similar businesses there, and if that was allowed, why wouldn't this one be allowed?
This had a medical component, is what we were told.
That is correct.
In the process is a medical component.
I'm sorry. The B3, from my understanding, is residential.
No, it's commercial.
It's commercial, but it also states that in here that it has to make sure that it doesn't infringe on the houses that are around it. So I'm wondering how having a record service near homes would work out. I would think the noise would be constant all night long. But why even do that when we know it's already going to be a problem? I mean, the guy in the park has the 18-wheelers, and I can hear them inside my house at 4 o'clock in the morning, and he's, 500-600 feet away from me? I can't imagine if it was even closer. I just am thinking of the residents.
So you have to have a place for them. And so B2 is going to be even closer. If you pay attention to your B2, they'll be closer. You can't let them in your office because they're not an office use. So B3 commercial is the best
Be
use
the
for them.
closest one.
But your B3, there, it's a very small zoning district. You don't have a whole lot of commercial. If you look at your zoning map, you don't have like a ton of commercial. There are chunks, and they do abut residential, but those residential homes came after those commercial businesses were there.
Right, so then
So
they
they're
have
kind of
grandfathered,
used to
okay.
that being there.
And just to let you know, I mean, throughout this process, Crystal was there,
I went to the first one and then I stayed out of it.
but we got a lot of discussion done in that first one, and we kind of came up with an idea of how to go about this. But she gave a lot of this historical context, having been here for a while, for, to explain, the specifics that you just asked, which kind of guided us on some of these issues as well. So.
I'm a little concerned about the tendency to defer to an SUP versus prohibiting something from a particular zoning district. Because one, I think it's going to lead to more inconsistency, and that's not good for business. It's not as black and white for a business to say, no, I can't be here. I need to be in this type of a district. And I think it's, I understand the thought process of giving everything two looks by both the zoning and the council, but I think it's kind of making everything gray, and we're going to have a possibility of inconsistency where we allow one business with an SUP and then the next business in the possibly similar situation, and we deny them the SUP because of one thing or another. So that's my concern about using the defer to an SUP as the solution for maybe not knowing all the facts. Sometimes I think being black and white is friendlier to a business, and it's more consistent.
I would also like to concur, because Mr. Russell, when I was in that first meeting, came up with the method to go through it. I was like, oh, that was a great idea. My mind didn't work that way. I would have made y'all go down the tree around the park before y'all got there. So the way he simplified it for them made a lot of sense. So I did want to give him his credit.
The geography, looking at the geography of the zones and like how much there are and where they are adjacent to, I think plays a significant role. And then knowing how similar maybe the uses are between some of the categories, it's worth revisiting or looking at it all. It's hard to maybe just see this and not look at those other things at the same time, but we had concerns that maybe we would be blanketing allowing things if we fully went to the permitted versus just having it as SUP. That was just a safeguard on our part in going through this. And then maybe if the SUP is, from what I'm hearing, kind of a procedurally difficult thing to have, that can be something that we look at as like a second go about this. Is there ways that we can make a more clearer determination one way or the other? I think we were just being cautious with the SUP.
So let me explain. Specific use permits allow you to allow a business by right, but put some parameters on that business in order to operate. And a lot of times it functions with hours of operation, lighting, maybe some parking usage, is kind of what you're looking at when you're looking at an SUP. Now, there are some businesses, like your example of the medical spa, it seems like a very similar use, similar type thing, but because of licensing issues, right, you need an RN or a doctor, it becomes the standard to require an SUP in some of those cases because of licensing requirements. And so that's why typically you'll see some SUPs in those particular service industries. But that's what an SUP is set up to do, is to kind of allow the council to kind of put a gate around that permitted use, still allow that use in that district, but provide maybe some safeguards to the surrounding area.
So with that definition, then that use is allowed, but there has to be restrictions. Is that?
It doesn't have to be. So just like this.
Well, I
Oh,
got
sorry.
further. Oh, go ahead.
No. So there doesn't have to be restrictions. So you can get an SUP and say there's no restrictions in the particular case because of a licensing thing. Say there's no you don't need to shut down at a certain time, or She's not gonna stay open 24 hours to give Botox at 2 a.m., but she could have. She could have come and said, hey, I'm trying a new business model and I wanna give Botox at 2 a.m. and or yeah, like, or drive-through Botox. That may not be something the council would be interested in allowing in that use, and you could say, nope, we want you to shut down at 9 a.m. because that shopping center shuts down at 9 a.m. or whatever that parameter would be. And so even though it's allowed by right, they may have a business model that you don't particularly care for. And when they fill out an SUP, they have to put hours of operation, what they're into, kind of like what their intent is for that use. And so it gives you an opportunity to regulate that use a little bit.
One final question that I had. Do you remember the antenna that is going up here on, off of Grissom Road and it backs up into Alberta Road right here? Was that a permitted use or what was that? Because here's what we were in a dilemma in that we would have voted primarily no for that item, okay? And yet when we went into executive session, it was regulated by the federal government where we couldn't disapprove it from what I remember. And so what kind of things do we have on this table? I didn't see the antenna. I don't know if this is just a snippet of the things that you changed and everything else stayed the same, but can we
The
read
antenna
those?
actually is under like a specific category, so it actually has different regulations. It's an SUP, but it's actually in the code with specific regulations for that,
It has its own chapter.
its own section. Yep.
It has its own section. It's regulated. So all of your uses on your churches is a good example. Schools is a good example. Even though they're on your use table and they're allowed by right or not allowed by right, there are still other laws that exist. And you're talking in the federal and state law. For us to capture every law that possibly exists between the state and federal government is impossible. And to say that you couldn't not allow the antennas is an inaccurate statement. You could. You could absolutely stop them from coming, but you're going to end up in a suit and you will lose. So the same thing with the short-term rentals. It's not that you can't regulate them. You can regulate them, but then you probably will get sued. Some cities don't. Chavano Park's a good example of the short-term rental that came up. They haven't been. But if we were trying to do the same thing, your attorney would caution you that you could be sued. That's what he's telling you. You have regulations set aside in your zoning district, but there are other laws that govern the decision that you make. Tuesday night was a good example. I stopped the vote because there were some concerns about religious freedom on the vote that you were going to take and some property right issues. And so I took y'all back into executive session to express those concerns. Could you have still voted the way you wanted? Absolutely. You could still do it. Liability and risk are not laws. They're just liability and risk. It is still up to this body to determine whether or not you want to take that risk. But each of those uses, I guarantee you, have some sort of union, association, organization that have lobbyists, that have a whole different set of rules and regulations. And so each of those uses could come up when you're having a conversation, depending on what your conversation is, to regulate them. So like the bail bonds thing, I'm surprised he didn't come back because they have their own set of rules that he could come back and say, I think you did X, Y, Z, you should allow me by this, under these parameters. And you make the risk of whether or not you're going to fall under those parameters or not. So I want to make it clear, there's probably, out of this list, half of them have some sort of additional regulations. That lady with the Botox, they have a whole licensing regulation through the state that they have to go through, and we don't encompass those rules in our code. And so could that happen with some of the, absolutely. You could come across and y'all start discussing that you don't want to let, you know, a med spa in because you don't want those type of girls to be there. I'm gonna raise my hand and be like, you can't take a vote with that parameter. That would be discrimination. That you absolutely can't take that vote that way. You can deregulate them because of hours of operation. You could say we don't want you here because it's not consistent with the use around it. But if you say, oh, I want to take the vote because I don't want those type of people here, which has happened in the previous council before, and we say, no, that's not a reason to not allow them. And the attorney, on the most part, will say, we need to go to executive session to discuss how you set up that motion. because that motion may not be the most appropriate motion to take. So I just want to make that clear.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
I mean, we could be here all night, but, I mean,
So if it's specific, so the idea of this is to have the conversation with the council. If there was something that y'all were concerned with that was controversial, that you wanted to talk to council before council sees your recommendations. So if y'all didn't have really anything that came up, if the council doesn't have any additional concerns on your recommendations, then this item will come like either May 21st or the first meeting in June. The council will then either approve your recommended changes or have further discussion on your recommended change and amend it if they so choose. Or not take them at all. You can just say, we want to leave the permitted use table as is and.
like, I don't know if any of you guys on council saw this category dealing with motorcycle sales, repairs. We added electric bikes and motorized bikes, and we also opened it up for O1, B1, and B2.
What page are you on, sir?
Yeah. So, I mean, I think we were trying to consolidate there. We also didn't see a reason why they shouldn't be permitted in those districts. You know, and so, and you know, it wasn't just a blanket thought of, oh, we're going to be business friendly and just open things up to everything. I think we went through and looked at quite a bit of this and just
Instead of not allowing.
tried to make some common sense changes that we thought were appropriate. Olin, you have anything to add?
Y'all are doing so good with the mic. Thank you very much. I
I
was
would
so
like to-
concerned.
I would like to take a minute and look at this from Ms. Best's point of view that she raised a while ago about some decisions will be made in one way and some will be in another. Based on what you had about the tower, you had facts that you had to deal with. There's facts available on all of these cases that are presented by the developer or the business or whoever's bringing it forward. So I think if you do your facts review complete, which I know is not always easy, you're going to come up with a vote that's more in compliance with what the citizens of our city would want. That's what we're here representing the citizens. You all do it by vote, and we do it by appointment. So I think her question could be answered by diving deep into the issue and getting the facts, because sometimes they change when all the facts come to the table.
Right. Well, and I think the council in particular has been scared in a sense that we deal with different things, and we have flexible zoning and we have things of that nature. And I think for them in particular, they want guidelines in order to issue their SUP, or like so they could stick to the same justification every time. Unfortunately, with zoning and use, it's considered a situational thing, because each business in each location, there's always something just a little bit different. They may not abut residential, they may abut residential. The business like the Seven Brew, in my opinion, really didn't abut residential, but the whole shopping center abutted residential. So then you had to consider the Seven Brew as an SUP, because the shopping center of where the Seven Brew was really located was considered to abut residential. But when you look at it, it's nowhere near residential. And so that's why each business, and that's why when you have an SUP, are kind of situational. So you could have one council that wants everything to shut down at 9 p.m. The council starts to change. We have a bunch of 20-year-olds, and they want everything to stay open till 2 a.m. or something like that, right? And so then your SUP for those types of businesses that come before that council may change. The regulations may change. And so each SUP goes with the property, not the owner. So when you make an SUP, the SUP carries with the property. We learned that with the soccer field.
Was there two?
And so, I'm sorry, what?
Are there two SUPs?
What do you mean?
Well, there are two types. One is permanent, and one is goes with the owner.
Well, so you have an SUP, for instance, if you have a regulation that is tied to the business model, 24-hour car wash, and you want to regulate that they can't be 24 hours, that if a car wash is going to go there, it ends at 10 a.m. But say that car wash sells to the next owner, and it's not going to be a car wash, it's going to be a beer and all or something completely different, and they want to stay open longer or close earlier. Well, those hours of operation that you set aside for that particular business may change because the business model changed. But if it was going to be a car wash again, then the hours of operation would go with that. SUP would go with the property because it's the same exact business model. So if you wanted them to shut down at 10, you're not going to change to allow this car wash to stay open till midnight, because and then what was the difference, right? So in that particular case, it would go with the property. So it just depends on what you put in your SUP, if it's lighting regulations, if it's shutdown time. But if it's tied to the way the business is going to function, then yes, it's kind of tied to the business.
I respect that y'all know all these zoning areas for Leon Valley inside and out. I do not. I would like to have a colored map that would show me which each areas of these are, so
Yeah,
I
we-
can look at these businesses and study it more in depth.
Which
to
we
say,
used. We
well, I'm
used
sure,
throughout it, and
but
we were able to
looking at
look
it like this,
yeah.
I'm kind of like, well, what does that mean
don't know if that could
exactly?
be
I mean,
brought
it
up.
would just help me.
But it might not be worth it right now, but,
Yeah, so you're really, in all honesty, like I can print you a zoning map, but it's not going to do you justice. That is really done on on a big screen.
yeah.
So if you get a chance, if you get your computer out, I would really open up the zoning map because it's interactive. You can click on each to see what the use is and gives you a definition. We can print you out a small one, but it does not give it I can send you the link, but it doesn't give it the use justice.
I know, like, for instance, Michael, I don't know if you wanted to talk about, we spent some time talking about the boarding house issue and opting into utilizing the SUP for 01. Do you want to talk a little bit about, kind of summarize what our discussions were in regards to boarding house? I think we learned a lot.
So we kind of felt that was something that's a category that's outdated. Now what we're going to see is more short-term rentals kind of replace that. Historically, I think we feel that that's something that's declined over the years. That there's really no request for that or push for that. So again, we kind of pushed that aside and decided that, that's something that we're not going to see often. And on the flip side of that, you're going to see more short-term rentals. And that's kind of replaced that.
And I know that's a hot topic right now, so. Just, these are recommendations. I mean, this is just, no. There's not a category for short-term rental.
Yeah, it's not on the table. It's not on the permitted use table. Because that's on the residential side.
Did you have, yeah.
Why isn't boarding house on the residential side? That doesn't make sense to me that it would be allowed in an office or a business area.
So that is something to really look at.
I know it went back quite a ways as far as, I think we were looking back, we were given a date of like the 1950s or 60s in regards to the boarding house. Do y'all recall that? In regards to why that was on the table? I mean, it went back and I would
either say, let's take it out of the permitted use table completely, or put it in residential where it would really belong.
Crystal, do you remember boarding house, like what the historic context was for why that was on the permitted use table? And
So you had bed and breakfast, boarding houses, group homes, and this is all before short-term rentals kind of existed. And at the time, there was a lot of discussion on boarding houses, allowing people to rent individual rooms, group homes, and what would be considered a bed and breakfast. And so if you actually look at the definitions, they're slightly different. Bread and breakfast, I think the owner has to be and live on the property and provide meals or something. There's a definition. And then your boarding house, the owner doesn't have to live on the facility, and it's treated more as like a commercial business use. And then group homes has its own regulatory thing, and a lot of that group home is governed by like the state of Texas because it has its own regulations. And so that's why you have kind of those three areas. And we treated boarding houses, or we attempted to treat boarding houses, we tried to attempt to treat short-term rentals like boarding houses, and that didn't go well. So now we treat short-term rentals right now as just like residential use, like an at-home business residential use situation. And so they don't have their own zone. But those were your three areas of residential uses that you could use your property for in your home that functioned outside of just a residential use. Does that make sense? Like, instead of just you going home and going to sleep as a property owner, you could use that residential use to do a group home or a boarding house or a bread and breakfast. And so you had different regulations for each of those.
So she was wondering why not just X that from the permitted use table?
Because they still exist in most agency, I mean, they still exist in other cities. You could remove them and they wouldn't be allowed at all in those districts, but like I think of Leslie Bacon, technically she was a boarding house. And then I have a couple of people that have considered bed and breakfasts, and then the chief and I will be bringing back assisted living. So you take a look at your residential zone district, what's allowed in your residential zone by right? What would you be okay with being in your neighborhood? So right now you have like assisted living in there, you do have boarding houses, you have bed and breakfasts, and you have group homes. And so now it's up to y'all to regulate each one of those uses, but you should have a zone for them because they're gonna come. We have quite a few of them that live in your city. And so you should now you don't have to allow them in residential, but where else would you allow them? Because they.
Why would you allow them in an office or a business?
That's the question for them.
That's my question. Why would a boarding house be allowed in an office district or a small business district?
So you could think, so you,
Seems like it'd be really out of place.
well, you, sort of. So here's the kind of backstory, I think, a little bit for that is, where Chacho's is at, they were going to be a mixed-use situation. So that means, or their attempt was supposed to be mixed use. It never came to fruition. But at the bottom was gonna be retail restaurants, and at the top was supposed to be living. Office space and like you could make them living situations. And so that's why they were allowed, because you were gonna have some mixed use things occur. Like that was like the buzzword and the go-to at the time. We don't really have a whole lot of mixed use. I mean, we're not the Quarry or the Pearl. You'll see it at the Pearl. The Pearl has businesses at the bottom, and a commercial use maybe at the top, or a law office at the bottom, and sleeping quarters at the top. And so you would allow those same types of uses. Like, I want to rent out my room because I can't afford to live in this great loft at the Pearl, and there's regulations in order to be able to do that. That would be an example. Would that occur here?
My impression from the different categories and the word lodging is used to, I think, group them all together. But they all have that vibe of being more of like a hospitality business of somebody, and maybe a boarding house, and the word of a boarding house is, and the concept of it is a little more, feels like more of a residential context, but possibly it could be done in a way that is more high occupancy or something in these other zones, but in more of a hospitality. But all these categories seem to be directed toward hospitality-oriented businesses. It's just, and then I know that we were looking at like also maybe the state of Texas, I think, more recently expanded like things like mixed use could be utilized in commercial zonings, and that be something for major metropolitan areas, that the state of Texas more recently allowed that. And so I know we expanded one of those categories to include mixed use to, I guess, in some ways
Residential townhouse.
reflect that.
Loft. It's kind of towards the bottom, just before salon and stationery.
Give the council homework. So,
When is this gonna go to the council?
the 21st, right? May 21st? Oh, why do I keep thinking it's the 21st? Sorry, the 19th. I'm sorry. It's the 19th. So either the 19th or the first meeting in June, depending if the zoning commission want to revisit after they've heard your comments this evening. If they're fine with what they're ready to go with, then
Look, I don't know if the boarding house fits in office. I'm just, seems like it's incongruent, but I don't know. What do y'all think?
you only have like 2 areas that are considered office zones.
And plus, I don't know what the businesses would think about it.
You only have 2 areas, like I think it's 2,
Really?
that are
Where's that?
actually zoned office space, yeah.
Where's that? Where's that? Yeah, I need to look at the map too, so I
Yeah,
asked Michael to send it to me as
Yeah,
well.
there's only
So
like
where
2.
is those 2
I
office?
may
Oh,
ask,
you
I don't know. I mean, I do,
No worries.
maybe, but.
But I think as Mr. Hernandez said, looking back on it, it was about the new laws dealing with mixed use that was in our mind there, you know. And I think some of it was, I mean, the topic that came up about, you know, not setting the city up for any liability with conflicting federal or state laws as well. I know that's in my mind a lot. I think we've all seen chapters of the city where we were embroiled in a lot of litigation that cost the city money and kind of was bad for PR for this town. So I don't know, that's just my thoughts. I don't think that's not representative of the whole committee, but that was in my mind, I'll say.
So if the zoning commission is good with these recommendations to the council, then they don't have to go back to y'all, is what I was saying.
I do have one more comment about the motorcycle sales, repair, and service. I think it's great that you added the e-bikes and the motorized bikes, but it's the service part of the picture that I have an issue with being completely permitted in the office and the small business. I mean, you don't know how loud that service component might be, but it seems that would be a place where you would want to have an SUP to see what exactly small business zone or office zone are they looking at. The sales doesn't bother me as much as the service component does. Because anytime you add a service component, you've got dirty, you've got chemicals, you've got, you know, the gas smell, you've got who knows what. And to me, that might need a little more regulating than just say, we permit it. At a minimum?
I think as Crystal said, I mean, how much office space do we have
I think it's like 2.
that are zoned for that?
It's for B1 and B2 also.
Yeah, B2 you have a lot of. B1 you also don't have a whole lot of either.
But Crystal,
Again,
didn't
their
we
business.
deny a permit for somebody that was gonna do one on Eckerd? And because of the noise level and because of the hours of operation.
You can. I mean, so when you're abutting residential use, and when you require an SUP, or they're just coming for a zone change, in that particular case, I wanna say it wasn't allowed in that district at all, so they were coming for a variance. I don't remember it off the top of my head, but I think it just wasn't allowed in B2 at the time. So it's not allowed in B2 right there? So when it came before the council, it wasn't allowed in B2 at all, and they were trying to go in an Eckerd building, and the council said no. But now they're allowing it by right, they're allowing it as permitted, but again, that's the council's they wanted to have a discussion to see if they needed to do more work on this, but it seems like what they're providing y'all, for the most part, y'all may have some disagreements in certain areas, but then you as the body would then make those changes. You don't have to take all of their recommendations. That would come before the council. This was supposed to be an open dialogue, just in case you said, we don't like we want you to go back to the drawing board, or we don't like this whole section, or, but it sounds like for the most part, you're okay with some of the changes. There's been a little bit of discussion. And then when it comes to you, if there's certain areas y'all want to tackle that you don't agree with them on, you don't have to accept that change.
I just have one more question. On that non-medical emergency transport, that's not on there. You have an SOP there. Does that mean that VIA and all the other ambulance companies have to apply for permit or just to come into Leon Valley? Or
I'll have to read the definition. I would love to say I don't have to read the definition for it. Which one? Non-emergency medical transport service. I think that's taxis.
Okay. So it doesn't
I'd
include-
have to go back and read the actual their definition somewhere in the back.
But
I'd
we
have to
didn't
go
change
look.
anything on that, did we?
I think y'all took off the SUP underneath, oh no, y'all didn't.
Yeah.
Because those aren't, these right here aren't there anymore. So
Okay.
this is sustainability overlay.
And this is.
That's already there. That SUP exists.
So, any, 'cause I know some ambulances come,
But they're non-emergency.
they're not, but it's a non-emergency, transport.
But
With
no,
a
but then when
form.
if they come here to be in a use, they would come in as an emergency transport. Because the majority of the rides will be emergency. Even though they provide non-emergency transport, the primary use is emergency transport.
Okay.
I just wanted to clarify then, page 21 to 25 is the proposed new permitted use table. Is that correct? Or is this? This is is there anything else that needs to be in here that we're not seeing? Is this it?
That's it unless the council wants to review the entire permitted
Okay.
use.
Correct.
All right.
These were just, I think, just the changes. that
Just
we
the
made.
changes.
And-
21
even
to
though this- and
25 is
and what's
what
in front
P&Z
is the
made
entire one,
recommendations on.
right? Just so okay, I just wanted to be sure I understood both sections. Thank
Yeah,
you.
I think it's titled.
Gotcha.
It is titled,
Permitted use table, yeah. But these are your changes, the 21 to 25. But then this is the whole thing. Okay, gotcha. All right.
we had it titled as recommendations, but I guess it didn't.
Yeah, there it is, right here, recommendations. Yeah, right there. Okay, thank you. I appreciate it. Anyone else? Okay, yes. Thank you all very much for your efforts. Really appreciate it. And this will give the council, another month or so to look through it, look at the maps and see, if we would like to recommend any amendments to your recommendations at the next meeting. Yeah, how long did it take?
I think we had 3 sessions, probably about 2 hours, 2.5 hours maybe. Yeah.
My first version was in October.
Right. And then I think we got pretty focused in the winter with it. We had a couple of workshops then. Yeah, and I think, we got to a point where I think the idea was for council to have this early spring, and we were trying, with the holidays and everything, it wasn't gonna work out, so we tried to.
Bristol's
Get to it.
unrealistic timeline.
Yeah. And I will say, I don't think all of us on planning and zoning agree on everything, but we came together, and I think a lot of this was just common sense, stuff we did, just for the good of the city. I don't think it was about an individual's view on things. I think we collectively came together and yeah, so, all right.
Well, again, thank you so much for all of y'all's efforts, and if there's no further discussion, then the city council moves to adjourn this meeting at 7:56 p.m. on Tuesday, April the 28th. And Mr. Chair, you've got to close your meeting too. Go ahead.
And then you'll reopen yours.
Okay, all right. It is 7:56, and I'll adjourn our meeting, planning and zoning meeting. Thank you.
Appreciate it.
No, no, no. We just turn it off and then I'll go on the dice and turn on your mics on the dice. Thank you again for obliging my one mic show over here.
I just got you. Yeah, I did.
He's still in vacation mode, man.
I still am. I just trying to catch up on paperwork and.
He kept telling me that. I'm like, your mailbox? Now I get to go to the back. Oh, I gotta change it. We should stay. You can. You just can't participate. You have to fight the urge.
I'm just saying, because it's a new development, and I know at one point, don't we take over those streets? Well, I do have an idea. I was wondering where we're gonna land.
But yes,
No, I was thinking, I was riding my bike.
because the trucks are going. They always do that. Anytime you get a new development, because the houses aren't done yet, the new streets that they laid for the trucks to go through are gonna crash through the streets. I don't think so. I think so.
Like, there's no podiums, I said you would
Nope,
tell
nope,
him.
he's up there. I've got it.
Yeah, I told him you would show him what. Not a good way to get out of here.
And not in violation. Testing, testing.
All right. Man, that's fun. That's kind of cool. It is 8:03, and I'll call to order the Planning and Zoning meeting of Leon Valley in, let's see, it is May, no, it's not May, it's April 28th at, yeah, I already gave the time. So we already did the pledge earlier. I don't think we need to do that. Does anyone think we need to do that? I don't think so. Do we want to take roll just because Mrs. Roof and Mr. Hernandez, I don't think they were here for the last roll, just to keep things clean and clear?
David Perry. Here. Andrea Roof. Here. Abraham Diaz.
Here.
Donnie Britt.
Here.
Olin Yarnell.
He, I wonder if he's in the bathroom?
Keep going.
Yeah?
Eric Mata.
Present?
Russell Hernandez.
Here. I wonder if Crystal sees Olin, or if she saw him out there. Well, whatever, all right. Well, we're being recorded, right, so.
Yes.
Does anyone have I seem to have lost track of my agenda. Do you have an agenda that you can,
I can grab one for you.
sorry. We're just dealing with one agenda item, right? Oh, okay. All right, and let the record reflect that 8:05, Mr. Yarnell was here the whole time. He's just taking a restroom break, and so he is present. All right. Okay. So we're at presentation, new business number 3, presentation, public hearing, and discussion to consider a recommendation on a request to amend ordinance 2025-8 to change the zoning from the PDD with R3 multiple family dwelling based zoning district to PD with R6 garden house based zoning district on approximately 7 acres of land located at 6612 and 6618 Sawyer Road, more specifically described as northwest 330 foot of lots 10, 11, 12, 13, and the northeast 20-foot triangle of Lot 10, and the southwest 400 feet of Lot 3, CB 5874. Mr. Gallardo?
Okay. So what you have in front of you is a revised version of what was posted. So we've been working with Mr. Shahadi to revise his amendment for a PDD that was issued to him. So I'm going to go through my slideshow. Then he's going to also have a presentation. And so, you know, you guys can stop us along the way if you have any kind of questions regarding. So what we're really here to do is he's going from R3 multifamily dwellings to garden homes. And I'll explain that as we go along.
Okay.
Is it? Let me just find the remote for this.
I think Crystal stole it. Yeah, I bet.
Like,
It's like me with TV remotes.
okay. So here's our request to amend ordinance 2025, a PD plan development district with R3 multifamily dwelling district to a PD plan development district with R6 garden house district. So basically, when this PowerPoint was presented, we were under the impression that he was just gonna go from R3 to R6, but I believe, based on what he's revised, that he's trying to kind of add R3 and R6 qualities to the amendment. And I'll give him a chance to further explain that, correct? So we're going to be requesting a couple of variances from section 15, which is our zoning chapter. He's going to be requesting variances from section 10, which is our subdivision chapter. And I'll break those down for you. So first, what I'd like to do is just kind of show you what a planned development district looks like. So this is the definition of that, because I know some of you that are sitting behind the dais, this is probably the first time you've been in front of a planned development district request. So the purpose of a planned development district, zoning district, is to facilitate a specific development project in accordance with a PD project plan that may include uses, regulations, and other requirements that vary from the provisions of other zoning districts. PD districts are intended to generally implement the following: flexible and creative planning, the goals, objectives, and maps of the city's comprehensive plan, including but not limited to the city's future land use plan, economic development, compatibility of land uses, innovative planning concepts. So basically, what this amounts to is that, we have district regulations, but this is a way to kind of modify that and best use the property at hand. So here are some of the variances that we, touched on earlier. So his lot regulation is gonna go from a minimum area lot size decrease from 4,500 square feet to 2,350 square feet. Minimum lot depth is gonna be reduced from 100 to 85 feet. Minimum floor space reduced from 1,800 to 1,350 square feet. Minimum frontage reduced from 45 feet to 28 feet. His minimum height increased from 2.5 to 3.5 stories. He also reduced the minimum setbacks. Rear setbacks went from 15 to 10. Side went from 5 to 2.5 or possibly 0. Between buildings, the setback between buildings is going to go from 10 to 5 feet. You don't see front setbacks because he actually met the code for that, which is 20 feet. Minor or private street minimum right-of-way reduced from 50 to 32 feet. Minor or private street pavement width reduced from 30 to 26 feet. Sidewalk width reduced from 4 to 3 feet. So just to be clear, the sidewalk width for that is internal, okay? So it's not
public.
not the exterior side, right? So this is where the property is located, right? We're looking at 6612 and 6618 Sawyer Road. This is an aerial of it. So you are going to see a lot of trees, but however, based on the previous PDD that he was approved, that's already been somewhat regulated. Now we are going to do a review just to ensure that it kind of coincides with what was previously approved. These are your surrounding areas. On the north side, he has B1 small business, B2 retail, R1 single family dwelling. On the west side, he has R1 and R3 multiple family dwellings. On the east side, he has B1, B2, B3, and R1. On the south side, it's R1, R3, B2, and B3. And here's what it looks like on a zoning map. So this is the original site plan. When he was going to construct R3, this is what it looked like. So these were similar to townhomes, right? So you have multifamily dwelling. This is what it looks like now. So this is his proposed site plan. We're looking at, I believe it's 76 houses. So he went from 165 units to 76 houses. So to his point, he's decreasing density. At the same time, he's trying to utilize the property as best as possible. So this is a relevantly, or actually a really preliminary, would you say a preliminary look at what it's gonna, the finished product is gonna be. So this is just, again, a conceptual preliminary structure of what he's proposing. So you'll see that when he comes and presents, it differs a little slightly to what you guys have in front of you. But here are some of the staff comments. So the proposed development will consist of, again, 76 lots for garden home development, correct? Property will need to be replatted prior to any development or construction. Staff advises the commission require legal documentation for the garden house project. Simply put, we just need to verify that he's the owner of the property. Staff recommends the applicant follow the code's tree preservation and mitigation plan process and request a variance if applicable. Again, as I stated earlier, the revision does have there are some revisions required, in part for the tree mitigation plan. However, based on his previous PDD, everything was approved. So we're just going to go back and kind of look at it and verify that he's in compliance with what was previously allowed. Staff recommends that no residential R6 lots have driveway access to a collector street. I know that Mr. Shahadi will probably touch on that a little bit. So what I mean by that, and I'll kind of take us back real quick, is that you see at the very top there where Sawyer Road is at, these are going to be garages that back into Sawyer Road. So on the behalf of the city, that is a concern. Although he does point out that it is part of our thoroughfare plan, that Sawyer Road, is a commercial collector, not a residential one. Correct? Or is it the other way around? You're saying that it's on this side, correct? Yeah. Bandera and Crisscross. Yep. Okay. So then the last bullet point here says staff recommends to place a condition on the site plan that can increase units more than 10% without council approval. So the idea there is not to punish him or anything like that, but it's kind of gives us the authority to kind of say, hey, this is what you're going to commit to at the very end.
Good. That 10% is not dimensions, we're talking the density.
Well, it's 10% overall of the site plan, like the changes.
Okay, just the changes
Yeah.
from what
And
was originally brought.
Correct, and it's in our code, like he's allowed that wiggle room of 10%.
Any idea where we're at now? Have y'all come up with an idea percentage-wise of what he's proposing?
No, because we're gonna kind of base it like, this is a fresh site plan, so it's if he differs from that one going forward, that he would kind of change. Because we can't really measure the 10% if he went from R3 to R6. So let's say, for example, he sticks to R6, then at that point, when he comes and says, hey, this is what I really want to build, then we'll look at the 10%. That's when it comes into play. Okay. So properties along Sawyer Road may be zoned for residential uses, which is consistent with the proposed use of the PDD request as a garden house development. Request is consistent and compatible with the city's master plan. Fiscal impact. All fees associated with the amendment request have been paid. The development of a single-family development will increase ad valorem and sales tax in the city. Staff recommends the applicant revise the site plan so that the driveways cannot access a collector street. Staff recommends the project to be held to submitted site plan and that an increase in more than 10% of the proposed units will require council approval. And then we also recommend that they follow the tree preservation and the mitigation process that's in our code and request a variance if applicable. So again, for probably the first one and the last one, we're going to actually go back and make some verifications, and determine if Sawyer Road is actually a collector street and if the mitigation process is in compliance with what was approved the first time he got his PDD. Questions? All right, at this point, Mr. Shahadi's going to...
I have a question.
Go ahead.
I'm sorry, Mr. Chairman, may I have a que- okay.
Yeah, do you want to pose that to Michael, to Mr. Gallardo, or to Samir Shahadi?
Let me ask Michael first.
Okay.
Why the change from 165 now to 76? Because I remember this came to council, to us, and I think it didn't went to council, right? So I remember the citizens coming and they were opposed and all this, and this was what was presented to them. So are they gonna notify the citizens again in that area to say, hey, there's a change, or there's not? Because from what I understand, the citizens in that area are expecting that.
Right.
So why the 176 and not a 76? There's a lot of reduction now. Now you got 5 feet, now you're going to 2.5 feet between spaces. I mean, that's a significant amount of change that totally does not look like that. So I have an issue.
So what I'm gonna touch on is the public hearing part and the notification. So we did post it in the paper that he's gonna make this change. We did do the letters to the residents that are within 200 feet or even businesses within the 200 feet radius. We sent out the letters, we posted that on the newspaper, so we'll do the public hearing here. And beyond that, that would be more like a business decision as to why he went from R3 to R6. So I would
Okay.
defer to Mr. Shahadi for that.
Okay.
So those letters have already been sent out?
Correct.
And we haven't received any back in,
Oh, and we're gonna have a public hearing on this?
Yep.
This,
Today. Yep.
it's
And then
one
it
of
goes
them,
to
yeah,
council.
it's one of
Yep.
them, yeah.
And
Yeah,
nobody's here.
Mr. Arno?
Mr. Chairman, I have a question about letters received in opposition is 0. We had a number of people came to the previous meetings that were not in favor of this, and I don't understand how we've gotten to 0 now if we properly notified everybody. Do we have a list?
So I want to make something clear. For this particular project, you
Haven't
did
sent
not
out.
have a whole lot of people oppose this project. You had Tim's Oriental, Vanessa, who is on that, but she was here for a completely different reason. She just so happened to be here for his project. This wasn't the Seneca West project or the Post Landing project. This was the Sawyer Road project. You did not have a whole lot of people
I remember people here.
for this
I think it
project.
might have been the Timms family
Correct.
and possibly one other family, but I don't remember there being a
So,
lot.
so
Yeah.
there wasn't a lot of people here.
Cause that
Now,
lady that's 90-something years old came up and.
that's Miss Uptain, and she again was here for a completely different reason because they were here for the Buddhist temple, because we were doing an expansion on them. They weren't here for him. So I do want to make that kind of clear.
Sure.
Now, from a staff perspective, when we first got this in, this use is less of a use. You're going from 176 units to 76. So if I have to pick and choose, if you're telling me I have to pick one, I'm always going to choose the lesser of the uses because of our resources, police and fire. I do have issues, of course, with, we put the staff comments on there. I still have issue with them exiting on the Sawyer Road situation, which I will also mention on Tuesday night at the council meeting. I don't like the driveways abutting Sawyer. It reminds me a lot of Seneca, so if you've ever tried to back out on Seneca, those driveways that come out.
Oh, yes.
It's very difficult for them, so I don't want, even though this isn't as bad yet, I have a feeling with you putting the units there and additional growth probably in that particular area, you will have a similar issue that you have on Seneca. So I do kind of see that issue happening here.
Although Sawyer isn't sandwiched between two major, like Evers and Bandera the way Seneca is.
No, but there is a turn, like you're coming, it's curved.
Okay, yeah.
So again,
true.
there's just a little bit of issue that I have there with that, but for the project itself, going from what he had before to what he is currently presenting to you, the use, now do I like the small, like we've had this conversation, do I like the small little units? Do I think the house being presented is reflective of what's actually gonna be built there? No, because if you take a look at the frontage part of that house, it looks like it's gonna be like more, I could be wrong, he can talk to this, but it looks like it's gonna be short and narrow. So I do think that that's a little deceiving in that regard. But for as far as the overall project itself, you are lowering the number almost by half, for as density purposes for what the current project that's approved that he now has the right to start building. And so I do want y'all
Yeah.
to take that into
Yeah,
consideration.
that's what stuck out to me, that we're going from what was basically apartments to smaller, like, garden homes, so it's less.
The proposal was a
Yeah.
townhome, condo, but they were really
But they were,
condensed.
yeah.
This, yes, is still a 0 lot line, but it looks, if you wanna know what that really means, go look at Senna.
Sure.
There's still space in between the homes, it's not a townhome situation. But the frontage isn't like, if you look at a traditional R6 in Leon Valley, that's like Pavona Place,
Yeah.
a traditional R6, this will be a smaller version of that.
Could we put up that sheet with the dimensions of the units, the frontage? That way we just have that, because I think that's gonna be where we're gonna have some contention here about that, so,
Yeah, and I'm happy to answer all questions, and I will put things more in context, and there was a question.
Yeah, is that microphone on? Is it powered on?
Did it finally die, maybe?
No, it's on now. Just make,
Is it
Samir, just
okay
make sure
now?
you keep it close to your mouth. Yeah, yeah.
Okay, is this good?
Yeah, that's a lot
All right.
better.
We're
First
talking
of all-
about IT devices. I don't have a screen. Is there something I need to punch to?
Is it not is this screen out, Crystal, that Olin's sitting at? Or is it just not powered on?
I don't know, what did you do?
It was on. It was on till I got here?
Oh, you pulled the thing out, sir.
I did?
How'd you do that?
I don't know if he did it, but yeah, I'd have to reset the
I haven't
system.
touched anything.
I don't know if your foot.
Why don't we just
I'm
share
just
it?
gonna blame you
Well,
because
there's,
you're sitting there.
there's one over here that's available.
Oh, you wanna go down to that one, Olin?
Okay, I'll just share.
Do you wanna look at
I'll
it?
share this.
Okay.
Yeah, okay.
Sorry, I'd have to go down there and mess with those wires. But it's yellow, so I can tell it's out.
So I can just reach down and push it in?
No, I mean, I don't know where it came out from.
Yeah, it's so dark down there.
And I don't want you to mess up all the screens. I only have one outlet.
Olin, can you see this? Can you
I
see
got
that
it.
reasonably?
Yeah, thank you.
All right, Mr. Shoddy, thank you.
Good evening. First of all, we have some new faces. This is home sweet home for me. Been in this chamber many, many times since 2019. And I'm happy to say that I'm one of the largest taxpayers in the city of Leon Valley since 2014. We owned a business here. We had 95 employees between 2014 and 2017. So not only were we paying property tax, we were also holding offices and paying sales tax, et cetera. And over the past while, honestly, it's been such a pleasure working with the city. I know we've had some ups and downs. There was a lot of opposition on some projects. And ultimately, I sincerely hope that as we look forward here over the next few years, we'll see the benefits of all the projects I brought forward, that our group brought forward. All right, so I will step you through this, and I'm going to give you context. Effectively, we came forth with, so we have a PDD that is approved. We have an ordinance that's approved back in on April 15th, 2025. That gives us the right to build a project with 165 townhouse units. That is obviously our preference. What's been going on, to answer your question, Mr. Diaz, what's been going on is the market is actually good for a townhouse in this area. There's no precedence for townhouses for sale in this area. So as we worked out the numbers, we can still go ahead and do it, but it's not going to be, in our opinion, it's going to be a higher risk to build to sell versus to build to rent. Building to rent for us would be substantially better. And if we go down this path, that's exactly what we're doing. We're going to build them, we're going to rent them out, 167 of them. The other option would be for us to go ahead, and we're evaluating right now the concept of single family. This concept that we're presenting is exactly the same concept that is in Trilogy, that is in Senna, that is now in Seneca West. Exact same dimensions of lots, exact same dimensions of setbacks, exact same dimensions of front setbacks, backs, everything's exactly the same. Everything's exactly the same. This is not a new concept. Let's just establish that. There are at least 300 homes in this city right now, actually more than that, being built under the exact same definition. So there's no creativity here. Just wanted to establish that as a baseline. The other thing is, we honestly believe, from a financial perspective for our group, we'll go ahead and build the townhouses. We have them by right, we'll go ahead. We can also, but that will be a longer process for us, and I'm fine with that. However, we know there's a preference in the community. From last time, there were like 4 or 5 people, I believe, that were here, and I'm not sure, they're probably very happy they're not going to show up. I wish they did, to say we support this because it's going to be way less traffic for us. It's going to be potentially, well, will be higher end occupancy versus the plan of potentially building to rent, right? So all in all, we're here. We submitted the PDD initially, honestly not knowing that the PDD, that section in the code was removed. So then, you know, we were trying to address all of this, and then because we're already grandfathered with a PDD already on the site, we could go ahead and basically amend our PDD, which is exactly how we did it, in the conversation with staff, and we ended up basically doing exactly the same ask, just making sure that it's compliant with the code. That's all. So that all being said, you're welcome to interrupt me anytime you want. We can have this. I mean, there's nobody here, so we can have it as.
I just wanted to say real quick, while you're on the topic of how these compare as a reference to some of the developments that you already have going, I just want to make sure with staff that we confirm that that's the case, that we're not too far off, Mr. Gallardo and Crystal. I think for our benefit, just making sure that what Mr. Shahadi is saying about lot sizes, frontage, how that compares to some of his existing developments.
I'm not here to do a comparison.
No, I understand that. I just, for our benefit, just.
If you have questions on the specific development and whether or not, I can't say that that you should follow this because it was in line with the Century community.
No, I'm not asking. I just, because Mr. Shadi's here and we don't have that information, if at some point maybe that could be emailed, that checks out. That's all I'm asking. Yeah, whether it affects our decision or not, I just want to know that.
It's all within a few feet. So basically, I can tell you because I went through this process. It was my project at Evers, the Trilogy project. That was initially approved to 28 feet width. And I believe the depth that was approved at 70 feet or 80 feet, something like this. But it was about 70 feet, I believe.
That's depth.
That's the depth. But then we came back. We had 94 at that point in time that were approved on 9 acres. We dedicated 1 acre of that project to the city as park space. And basically, that was high density. We came back, and we ended up reducing the density down to 67 on that project. And that's basically what's being built right now. For Senna, which is Century Homes, they have 31 by 90. For Seneca West, we had 3 different lot sizes. We had lot sizes that were 60 foot wide, on closer to your house by, not Samaritan, William Rancher, thank you. And then we have 40-foot lots, a whole bunch of those across, I believe the majority are 40 foot. And then we have a section that is 30-foot lots, and they were 30 by 100. So does that answer your question?
Okay.
And it's obviously verifiable. You're welcome to look at this. So that's how it compares. In terms of the 2.5 side setback, I know that kind of raised some. It's exactly the same as what's currently approved. The IFC, International Fire Code, requires 5 feet between structures, and having 2.5 or 2.5 will add to 5 feet. That's been the standard basically in all of these projects. The 0 is only when you have, say, a corner lot and you wanted to gain a little bit on this side, you push it to the 0 lot line. That's actually in the code. It's allowed in the code today. So then you would have to push the next one also to the 0 so that you always maintain that distance between the structures. Right, so that's the idea, is from a fire perspective to ensure that this sticks, right? So the zero lot line is not our invention. This is in your code. We just put it there as something that's available when needed. I don't believe we will do any of that. We don't need it the way it's
And
laid out
the
right now.
internal roadways?
The internal
Yeah.
roadways, yes, the internal roadways that we,
Because I know there's a
Can you guys-
reduction there, and I'm just wondering if that's been cleared with our fire chief? with
yeah,
our-
so we have a
That's within
fire
the
plan
code.
that I'm happy to go over as well. And at the end for the fire plan, we had to change the site plan a little bit based on their feedback. So there has been a lot of back and forth with the city engineer, with the fire marshal, to make sure that we're getting super close to exactly what they're asking for. We're there, and any comments. Remember something. All the stuff has to go through platting, right? It'll have to come back to you guys. At platting, 100% has to be, like the plan has to be 100% compliant to the fire code. It's that simple. So ultimately, whatever we're doing now from a conceptual perspective, once it gets down to engineering and construction planning, that'll all gets vetted out at that time.
Okay.
All right? Yeah, please go ahead. Good to see you again.
Good to see you too. And on the image, that was presented, it was maybe around 2 stories. I think it looked like that, and the requested revision is for 3.5 stories is like a maximum height. Is it? Are we thinking maybe that it'll be more 3-story homes, or it'll be more 2-story, maybe mixed?
Yeah, honestly, I don't think we'll need 3.5. Currently, we have 4 stories because the townhouses, they go. The idea is to have rooftop patios, right? That's now the hip thing to do.
Pretty common, yeah.
It's very common. So effectively, that we needed an extra story, and council gave us that. So we're currently at 4. We had 3.5 in Trilogy. We didn't go up to 3.5, right? I don't believe it's a product. We put it in entitlements just in case we have 1 or 2 products that we want to put there just for like look and stuff. But those homes become too big with 3 stories, too big for the market, right? So if you're going to be building something that is like 2,000 square feet, are you going to have a 2,000 square foot home on like a 28-foot lot? You're not going to do that, right? So effectively, we just put it in just in case. That's all. We have not, we have it for Trilogy. Not one of those homes was built 3.5 stories. They're all 2.5. All right, so this is what was approved. Again, happy to go over it. This is the plan that Michael showed. Again, that's up to 165 townhouses. What we are asking for, we're currently in the process. We've done preliminary assessment, financial assessment on going down in density, because we paid a lot of money for this property, and we do own it 100%. So we have for a long time now. So the idea here is, can we get a project that is consistent with what is available right now in the market? We like the location. I honestly much prefer, it's better for the city, it's better for the neighborhood to have property to own, single family, than to have, townhouses that we're going to be renting. So I wanted to establish as a base. We are not, all we're asking for right now, honestly, is an approval to give us the permission to go ahead and say, yes, this is an option available to you. Because we will be spending a lot more money to do all beyond just what you see right now, to be able to do a proper financial analysis and all of that. It's going to cost us another $150,000 to do all of that. And I thought, before we step into that, we need to know. I mean, intuitively, we thought we'd come here and you guys would be absolutely thrilled. No, it's true. This is really good. This is really good. So all we're asking you for is just the option to give us that extra use. And honestly, if it works out, that is why we're here. It's because we would like to proceed with that option. All right, so the plan This is what it looks like. We are actually replacing, we're putting in 150 new trees on this development. Each lot will have 2 new trees that are 3-inch each, which is substantial cost to us, but we're committed to that. In terms of the collector, let's just talk about this for a second. We have one.
Is that a little park and a detention pond or basin?
Yeah, so we have, you know what? Actually, let me just go straight. So this is what the typical house is going to look like.
Similar to Trilogy.
Very, very similar to Trilogy. And I'm not sure, you guys should go and, anybody has gone in to one of those homes? They're not bad.
They're very nice.
They're not, honestly, like, I would live in one of those in a heartbeat.
Yeah,
They're just, they're cute, they're nice, they're well appointed. You know, people are buying them. Sana is almost, like, I believe they sold out the first portion of it. I believe, I'm not so sure, but now they're going for phase 2. They're going very fast. So anyway, we are very consistent with the market. What we're asking for here is very, very consistent. We, in the amendment, we were careful to say, well, if we had an Article 4 for the current, we're adding an Article 4.1 as an amendment that will go with the site plan, right? Exactly, pretty much repeating the exact same thing that we have asked for and got approved, just, you know, based on single family instead. The key benefits that we see, obviously, you would know this. Well, first of all, the plan materially resembles what we currently have as multifamily. It's definitely lower density, lower traffic impact. Again, less likelihood of a conversion to a rental complex. And we offer the community, honestly, what they wanted in the first place, which is single family, pride of ownership. Okay, so let me talk about this plan. We did have feedback. This plan is slightly varied of what we had initially suggested based on fire chief's comments. And effectively what we have here is, this was the end down here. We just added like a T to allow to comply with the IFC. So we just pushed these guys here. Very negligible change, basically. But this allows us to be compliant with the IFC requirements. We have 2 basins for detention. We have another one here that just in case we need it. This is a 38-foot right-of-way here. This is a 40-plus foot right-of-way coming here. This is a 36-foot right-of-way going this way. This is a 28 coming here because we have actually 30. You have 20 plus 5 plus 5. None of these roads are super small. In fact, what we have here on this main loop, we have a 20-foot pavement, and then we have an 8-foot parking lane, dedicated parking lane. Thought this is cool, talked to the chief about it, fire chief, he likes it. So, you know, we're sticking with that. It's more pavement for us, but I believe this would be a good thing. The sidewalks are actually 5 feet. We removed that. So sorry, the 4-foot plus the curb, which is 5 feet. So we had removed that ask. We don't believe it's the 3 foot is the right thing to do.
And the sidewalks are on Sawyer Road, or you're talking internally?
No, internal. All the internal sidewalks are going to be basically 4 plus 1.
Okay.
They're going to be, yeah. So it's also good from an accessibility perspective to make sure that we have accessibility across the whole.
Mr. Yarnell?
Mr. Chairman, I have Exhibit N in front of me, which is the concept fire plan.
This one here, right?
Okay. When you go back to the one you had, which was previous one.
This one?
Okay, no.
Oh, this one here?
There you go.
Yeah.
Can you show me on Exhibit K where the access interior road is for the apartments that are on the bottom of the plan?
The apartments?
Buildings, whatever it is.
Oh, sorry, like you're talking about the townhouses?
46, 47, 48.
Yeah, that.
Yeah.
Yeah, the one that's closest to Tim's
Closest to the bottom of the
Okay,
page.
yeah, sorry, what is the question on that?
Okay. When I look at Exhibit N, I see what appears to be an access road along?
No, there's no access road. Yeah, that's a good question.
According to the fire plan, it looks like there's an access.
Oh, yeah, no, sorry.
It
Okay.
says, is that hand pull?
Yeah, so this is all showing that the length of the hose. So what you're seeing is the tags, it's the labels.
Okay, when you're gonna pull a hose, you have to have a place to pull it from and to.
Correct. Yeah, you're going to be able to go through the backyards.
I don't see anything on K that indicates that there's even a road there.
There's no road. It's going to be in the backyards. Just
Pardon me?
through, it's going to be through the backyards. The backyard is your.
You're gonna pull these hoses through the backyards?
Yeah, we're gonna have. It's very common these days. You just make sure that you have an opening all the way through, in the back. Very common.
That 3-foot opening or 3-foot space that you have in Seneca West?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm not familiar with that. You familiar with it?
Yeah, I ride my, sorry, Mr. Chairman. I ride my bike through the new one.
The,
Not so
by,
bad.
by
The
my
west?
house.
uh-huh.
Yeah,
not
no comment. There is a space of about maybe 3 feet, 4 feet
Yes.
from the end of the privacy fence to the next privacy fence, is what I noticed.
Is that basically, is it an easement or is that
It's kind
to
of,
comply with fire?
kind of
code?
like an alley type,
It's a.
but you can
it's
walk
part of the-
between them, between privacy fences. It's about maybe 3-4 feet, a space, and I noticed that when I was
That's for the
riding my
fire
bike.
code mainly. It's
So,
it's very
That's
common
what he's
these
saying,
days.
that he can take a hose back through there. Now, the only problem is who's gonna maintain that opening?
The HOA.
Okay, that was because, I mean, you're gonna have growth there.
The
HOA,
housing
the
authority.
HOA, the housing authority, the homeowners association.
Okay,
This is gonna have an association?
Of course, yeah, all of these communities,
Trilogy does. and-
all of
yeah.
them will have, yeah, they have HOAs, yeah,
but
absolutely.
that's what you're talking about, the
Yeah.
space, right? Yes,
Exactly.
I've
Yeah,
seen
thank you,
that.
Thank you.
I've seen that.
And this complies with the International Fire Code and it's a
Yeah,
requirement.
well, that's the thing, at construction time,
Uh-huh.
we're gonna be held accountable for all of this. So we will have to make sure that at construction, this is all conceptual, right? At construction, we will then come in and put that 3-foot, just like we did in Seneca.
And the fire chief has reviewed this and he's put his stamp on it.
Yeah. They don't, I mean, a stamp, like, from a conceptual perspective.
That's my word.
Yeah, no, the stamp, yeah. The stamp will have to come at platting time during the construction planning.
Mhm.
Right.
Well, but we don't wanna get too far down the road before we start bringing issues to the
Of course.
the attention.
Yeah.
And get there and say, well, you should have done that back over there when you were having that conversation.
You're absolutely right.
Let's have that conversation now, so we cover these issues at the beginning.
Absolutely.
So I think what you're trying to convey to us that your previous projects, you haven't run into any issues necessarily with that, and so.
No, we
you
have to
would-
be, we won't be able to have construction planning.
Right.
Like, we would go through all of this if we don't comply with the IFC.
And if a mistake was made, that would be at the developer's expense.
That's exactly
That would need to
Yeah.
be corrected.
Yeah, of course, yeah. We've been very good about compliance with the IFC code in all our projects. We have a good track record on that. All right, any other questions on this?
And that's what, 250-foot hand pull, that's what that refers to?
Yeah, that's exactly, it's just a tag down here. And again, this is very conceptual, right? It basically, the fire chief would look at it, yeah, you know what, we'll talk about this once we get to.
Okay,
Like,
okay.
is this particular, you know, because what may happen during engineering and construction planning, you may say, oh, you know what, this detention basin is not big enough. We may have to expand that. We may have to nuke this. We may have to move this from here to here. Remember, it's like, these plans are conceptual, and the 10% is what allows us to move things around, right? And by the way, the 10%, yes, it includes major changes as well as, you know, the density. But we did not ask for an extra 10% on the units, on the number of units. We actually said we'll cap it at 80, which is, I don't know, 5% or something like this. We do not believe we'll go over 76. There's no way. There's no way. We don't have the space for it. So nothing to worry about when it comes. Plus, I mean, the other side of this is we can build 165 of those, right? So
That's what you've been approved for, that's what you're saying?
yeah,
Uh-huh.
that's exactly. All right.
And has city staff had an issue with just the two ingress egress options here? Has that been enough?
That's
Is that-
IFC.
Uh-huh.
That's IFC compliant.
So I didn't see that in the comments.
Yeah. So basically, I'm not sure if you're aware how that is calculated. You probably, some of you, there was a lot of
I don't remember that, yeah.
shenanigans around this. I know at Sena they had to buy the property right next to them in order for them to comply with this. So basically, the way it works is you take the diagonal. It's easier when you have a rectangle. When you have these funky shapes, you have to take the longest diagonal, cut it in half, and then that should be the distance between the two entrances.
Okay.
So,
Crystal, you have anything to add to that?
It's not really add, I mean, I just wanna make.
Okay.
I
I figured that, yeah.
So, one, I wanna clarify earlier, because I went back and pulled the minutes on both the times we talked about this particular PDD. We had 10 people talk the first time, 13 people talk the second time. But it doesn't show whether or not they approved or disapproved of the conversation, because two of them were you and Tina Chasen. So I think y'all both were in agreement with his development. I think the people there for the second time didn't have anything to do with his particular project. They were here for something else. They just spoke on the item. So that's the variation, I think, between. I just want to clarify that, so that way it's on the record and you know how many people spoke on both occasions in regard to the townhouse project situation. Anything to do with the fire comments and engineer comments, they have made comments on this project of areas of like concern or things that may come up during the planning process. They always do. It's part of all of this. I will tell you, anytime that there is a variance, for the most part, even on Senna, the fire chief and I both oppose that street width. We always do. There's a reasons code exists. I'm not a big advocate of providing variances in our code, and so that will probably be something that will come up during this conversation. But to say that the council did not provide variances in the past would be inaccurate. They have. And so, because they've allowed variances and because we haven't quote unquote had a problem yet, doesn't mean that a problem wouldn't arise in the future. I mean, if you go down Senna, we've had the fire truck down there during National Night Out. It is a tight squeeze. It's not a pretty situation that the fire truck, can they make it? Will they make it? Absolutely. They will move cars, they will crush cars to get to whatever emergency they need to get to if that is necessary. But we try to prevent that. We try to make sure that the street width is wider, because what ends up happening, even if you mark something no parking, people still park. And then that's taxing, because you will have somebody in the neighborhood call police every single time somebody parks in a no parking. So it does pull my police over into those subdivisions in order to regulate those areas. And so do I foresee that being a problem when Sena's completely built out? Yes. Do I see that being a problem at Seneca West at some point? Yes. So to say that staff is completely kosher with this whole plan, that is not an accurate statement. But the accurate statement is, am I against this project? No, I'm not against this project because of what is already allowed by there. I would rather reduce the use from 176 to 76. The project is more consistent with what we've been doing versus something that we've never done before, which is like the townhome condo situation. So I know what I'm kind of getting here. So I want to make that clear, because the fire chief is going to come up and be like, nope, we prefer the 30 feet, because that's his job, right? That's what he's going to want is the minimum, what he expects is the minimum standard. So I want to make that very clear. Again, I still have issue with the driveways coming out on Sawyer. That is going to be like one of the sticking points, I think, for me a little bit. But again, from the plan perspective and what he's trying to accomplish, and I don't know if there's a compromise here or not, I do like or prefer this use more than the townhome condo R6 use. So this, I mean, so you kind of have to take that too, because the council's already passed his PDD. So it already exists, and so there is a little bit of vested right grandfather situation going on, in regards to what that looks like. And so because the use isn't more extensive, it's a lesser use or lesser density, I should say, keep saying use, but lesser density,
But even if we approve this and council approve this, he still has the latitude to be able to go back to his first plan, right?
Yes.
yes, so, yeah, I mean, you could go, yes, cause I mean, that was already.
Yes,
Yeah,
well, and
that's
that's a good thing. That's a good thing for the city because then the second option is actually available. This option is available to us to proceed. We're not being greedy. We need, before we spend $150,000 on construction plans and be able to do all the OPCs required for this project, I'm not going to go ahead and spend that money without having an assurance that this is even an option available to us. So it's only a fair ask. We go through it. We paid our fees. Thought, you know what? We'll make sure that that we'll go through this process to ensure that this is an available option to us. If we didn't feel quite confident about it, we wouldn't be here. As in, like, quite confident about the market's ability to absorb this potentially more than selling townhomes.
And the city feels like this is less, your concern is the tax, how it taxes our resources as far as like fire, police. If we went his original plan versus this, that this is an advantage.
You have more people compacted in the same amount of area. You have double the amount of people that could possibly be in the use. So anytime that there's a less density approach to a development for a city our size, we're developed out. I mean, so you're gonna have two options. You can just say, no, we're not gonna approve this. He says, okay, I'm not gonna spend the money. Doesn't look like the community has palette for this. And he goes with his original PDD, and then we have the 176 units. That's already been approved. That plan's been approved. We just move forward with that. Or we say, okay, we give him a second option, and maybe we have a lesser density use, which is something similar. Now, I'm not saying to approve, like, you can approve it and maybe make some comments and say, we agree that he should look at maybe making the streets a little larger. We approve this plan, but we think he should, not go out on Sawyer. You can make whatever.
Let me ask you,
recommendation.
that 10% kind of guard that's up, does that also work against the city if he decided he even wanted to reduce the density of these? Okay, it's only for increasing, it's only on that side of it. Okay.
Increase in density.
Okay.
So, say the council approved this plan, and then all of a sudden he says, I'm gonna chop these in half.
It wouldn't.
And it would have to go to council, it would be a completely different plan.
Okay, Mrs. Roof?
Yeah, regarding the garages that would force people to back out onto Sawyer, I'm sure I see something down at Misty Oak, way down off Grissom. I know it's an old community, but they have some kind of a barricade up against the street. So the people in these homes would back out into a kind of an alleyway. And so they're not forced into traffic immediately. And they drive whichever way it is they need to go to get to the main street.
Right, so there are a couple of versions of that exist around San Antonio and
Yes.
some communities. That would be, like, if that's, so like, say y'all say, we're good with this, we approve this, our only sticking point is that. Then he would have to try to go back and try to figure something out, or say, no, I don't know, I'm not gonna take their approval, I'm gonna take it to council this way, and then the council makes a decision. There are versions of that. He believes that he's not in violation of the code. I foresee it, again, because I know Sawyer Road, because I know this community, because I've already lived it with Seneca, I do foresee this being a problem that the city's going to have to deal with later on, because the people that buy those homes are eventually gonna come to the city and be like, I can't get out of my driveway. So that's why I have issue with it. So whether or not he comes up, like he's gonna pull, like it's a commercial, I don't care about that. I'm telling you from a logistical standpoint, where I'm at with the driveways pulling out on Sawyer Road. And the attorney can make his own argument on why they're wrong, and they go back and forth. I'm saying from a logistical, practical standpoint. Now, we can get into the legal part, but that's not for me to deal with. That's between our city attorney and his attorneys to come out with who's right and who's wrong.
Again, I could see your concerns on Seneca, but I don't see Sawyer ever being as busy as Seneca
And
is,
that's
you
where
know?
and again,
Yeah.
that's, as part of the zoning commission, you can
Mhm.
say, I don't have the same concern staff does, we recommend approval. I'm just telling you from my perspective,
And with
driving
with
that
past,
street
uh-huh.
and just driving it. I mean, if you go back there, yes, there's not a whole lot of traffic, there
There
is
isn't.
traffic because there is some commercial use back there. And so.
That's not supposed to be there.
But it's there.
Oh, you're talking about that one lot that's basically across the street?
This guy
Yeah,
here,
yeah.
You've got, and so you
Yeah.
do have traffic that goes back there. I
What is
mean,
he,
you do have traffic.
is that like landscape business, or what does he have?
I don't know, that's a whole other side problem that we've had for as long as I've been here.
And that's a residential lot it's a fairly large.
Yeah, and they've tried a couple, it became like a Gail Tribble situation because he's been doing it for so long.
Oh,
that
yeah.
it was- And so we went back, we were, like, this was.
And that's an old home, fairly historic home there, yeah. Uh-huh.
I haven't gone to like deal with that because they tried to deal with that and it just, so anyway, but you do have use on that. My point to that is you do have use on that street. It's not like it's a rural street and there isn't a bunch of traffic back there. I think that there's potential because I do think that after he builds this property, those Sawyer Road people are one of your largest landowners still remaining, that eventually at some point, whether it's now, 10 years down the road, I wouldn't be surprised if he hasn't had conversations with other people back there on some of those lots, whether or not to purchase to develop them. And then what are you gonna do when you've already approved this? You're gonna have other units back. So I'm just thinking like from a future, again, this whole project, don't have an issue with it. There's just pieces of it that I would raise a red flag on and say, hey, not even a red flag, more of a yellow flag, and say, this is something y'all should pay attention to. And I wanna be on the record, because in 5 years or 10 years, if I'm still here, maybe I won't be, somebody comes and says, who allowed this? And I'm like, the council, but the manager made a recommendation that not occur.
Okay.
And so, that's it, same thing with Mike. Mike will come up here and he will tell you, I don't support smaller streets. He does on every project. He sticks to the code. We are very black and white when you work for a city government because we try to justify those black and white situations where I'm in the gray, and the reason that I'm supporting this is because the density is less than what he's currently allowed to do. And so I support more of an R6 project than I do a town home project because you're gonna have more people in there. And then I'm dealing with more traffic back there. They have to come out onto the Heebner as their main thoroughfare. What is that? Yeah, Heebner, what is that?
No, it's Bandera.
Bandera,
Uh-huh.
yeah, it's Bandera.
It could be Hebner if they go through.
Through that way.
Mhm.
So, again, it's that, and so I'm thinking, okay, 76 homes, multiply that by like 2 to 3 people on average living in those homes, that's how many people will be back there. So when you're going from basically no major uses back there to some, to almost, and then, now in this particular case, you're kinda, okay, 76, but imagine going too close
To
to
160 or whatever, yeah.
so that's the reason that I haven't really had like major pushback. I've seen the engineer's comments, seen the fire department's comments. He's been very good at making those amendments and changes and trying to address those concerns the best that he can in order to kind of keep the footprint the way it is. And so, again, the staff in general doesn't have a major issue with this. We just want to make sure that certain items are addressed, but y'all don't have to address that. That can be addressed by council, that can
Sure.
be addressed at a different time.
Yeah.
But I wanted to be on the record because I don't want to, fire department approves, engineers approve, no.
But the big picture of this is that this is a better direction for the city.
I think it's a better direction than what's currently approved.
Right.
Better
Well,
direction
that's, yeah, obviously, yeah,
would be
right.
leave it R1 and leave a house on there and just have a beautiful house back there, But that's an unrealistic.
That's not gonna happen, yeah. Mhm. Well, because he's already been approved for, yeah, right.
Mr.
Yarnell?
Chairman, you mentioned ingress and egress a few minutes ago. How much liberty do we have to address the issue in addition to coming out from the garages onto Sawyer Road, moving the entrance into that corner or somewhere where it has a better sight line
Not very much because he's within the code
within the code?
as far as where he laid his 2 entryways. So like, he's not coming for a variance to make those entryways, ingresses and egresses shorter. He meets the requirement for that, right? I mean.
Okay, I'm with you.
But we're interested in your perspective, because like,
Well,
if it's an
the-
easy change for us, we'll change it. What's the issue?
I'm looking on the original.
Are you thinking what I'm thinking, that on the east side of this development, maybe have another?
Well, I'm talking about where
Entrance and exit
Bandera,
way?
where Sawyer Road has that elbow when it turns.
Yeah.
Can you create some kind of entrance there?
Well, I think, Olin, I think that's where it is.
No, it's down a ways. I'm looking on page 64 of our original, packet, not the one we just got this evening.
Okay, may I'll open this up. I
Okay.
know what you're talking about.
Okay.
I believe I do. But let me just show this, since I have it up.
Okay.
Okay. So this is the city's comprehensive master plan. All right? Page 35, if you go to that, this is the definition of all the roadways as they stand right now. So in terms of what is defined as collector, we have residential collectors and commercial collectors. Sawyer is not listed here in the residential collector. I just established that. Sawyer is listed in the commercial collector in the commercial zone, which is between Bandera and Crisscross. This is Bandera. Okay, can you guys see this? Okay, so this is Bandera. This is Crisscross. Crisscross doesn't even get to, now it's a projected futuristic intersection, right? It's here. That's the line. But I believe, I'm not going to speculate, but talking to Melinda way back, I believe they stopped here because this guy was a little bit of a pain trying to get that easement from him. He's not the developer. This guy is like the landowner.
That was
I
supposed-
know this guy too. And
That was supposed to be a CPS easement, or what was that?
Yeah, I mean, so I have to go back and drive it, because I have to go back, I meant to go before this meeting, and then I got sick. I don't remember what the logistics were, or why that necessary, I wasn't here for that development. Been here a long time, but Melinda supersedes me by an extra 20 years, so.
Wow.
I don't remember.
She's not here anymore. Yeah.
We had honestly the pleasure of working with Melinda, and I got to learn a lot from her, because I would go back to her on a lot of stuff over the years. And I have a certain recollection of what's going on here. Just so you know, our plan, and I will go back to our plan in a second, our plan leaves room for an exit from there onto Crisscross, if that ever happens. All right, so I just wanted to note that. Now, the definition of a collector, Sawyer Road is not a collector. Not here, absolutely not. I mean, you guys, look, definition is black and white. There's no gray area. The collector is commercial and it stops here. This is not a collector. So, to be on the front of this, let me show you something else. Now, we can go back to, sorry, Michael, I'm just, go back to my presentation here. All right, so let me go back to this plan here for a second. Okay. Figure out. I'm going to try to answer your question. Let's just do that. So you were asking about, if I'm correct, you were asking about this here.
Yes.
And this being closer so that you have a clear sight of this road coming down. Is this what you're talking about? Versus this here being slightly offset this way. Is this what you're talking about, or did I?
Okay, I don't see where your entrance,
Yeah, so the entrance, this one
where's
here-
Sawyer Road corner, where's the corner?
The corner's right here.
That crook there.
Right there?
So our previous entrance was right here.
Basically in the same place.
It is,
No.
it's like 2 house lots down.
Yes, but if this is the concern, this is more, this is the only way we can do it That's why we moved it a little bit, so that we
So
can
the old one
accommodate the
used to
fire,
be
Yeah,
lot
okay.
53 and 54.
the fire
We shifted it.
department's requirements.
But in order for him to make the turn radius per mic, he had to shift over his.
I mean, that looks like a positive change, because if you're right there at the crook,
Yes.
then it's a compromise for cars coming from both directions.
Correct. If you have a
you
car
know.
coming in this way and they want to come into the development, it's best to break it.
This
instead of
gives them a
dumping.
little more time to prepare for a car pulling out.
Turn
than-
left instead of going
you know.
straight. It's cleaner from a traffic perspective and from a safety perspective.
Yeah, we didn't have issues with the ingresses, egresses.
Okay.
At that corner's not an issue then?
It's actually better to move it a little bit like this.
Can you move it a
Because-
little, okay.
Yeah, but we need it still to make, like, we're right at the edge of the property here, to be able to get that distance here.
Okay.
To
So like
comply
if
with
he
the
shifted
IFC.
it more over to the left, he would be in violation for the distance requirement.
Okay.
So the fire department, the reason they have two entries and two exits is because they want to be able to enter or exit the property on two different variations of the property, depending on the emergency.
Right.
So if they only have one entry or they're too close together, it doesn't provide them the same emergency access. You want them to be able to get to each end of the property in order to address an emergency, depending on.
So you're
Let's say there's a fire.
you're telling me that you couldn't move that ingress, egress, 3 houses to the
No.
left?
He's barely making it, he's
wha-
barely
wha-
making it for the,
Well, it
There-
doesn't
there's a
affect, it
formula.
doesn't affect the end.
no, but it does.
Are you talking, I don't believe, are you talking about here moving?
Well, I'm talking about what I,
You want this moved this way?
no, I want to move this way.
No, you can't.
Why?
So because you can't come off the turn. The fire department's not gonna
Oh,
let
okay.
them just come off the turn. You have to have the
Okay.
little off center.
She answered the question.
That's what I was saying, Olin. It's like, I guess this would be further west.
I'm trying to move the entrance further east,
He's trying to go towards.
towards Bandera Road.
But you don't wanna be able to.
I don't think you'd want to.
Well, I get you at the corner where you don't, you would be able, the sight line would be better when you're coming out.
I supported that initially, just so you know.
But the fire department doesn't like it.
They don't like it, okay.
There's the pros and cons. But let me talk a little bit about.
Okay.
about this.
That's why we're here.
Yeah, let's talk a little bit about these driveways. Because this is quite large. We cannot have the driveways here, just establish that. We would be moving this whole road.
You would be what?
We'll have to like get rid of this whole, 1 to 18 will be gone. We will not be able to put these homes there without access. Right? That's the only access we can have. That's the only way we can achieve this density. Number one. Number two, this is not a collector. Very, very low traffic. Crystal's right. There is some big truck traffic happening here. It's not supposed to happen. So if we are gonna get penalized for putting homes there because the guy is conducting illegal business out of his property, I think that's something for the city to look at. I believe, I'm sorry, Crystal, I'm gonna disagree with you on that.
I will
believe
say,
the guy should be shut down.
I will
That's
say,
simple.
I've spent time down there, and even with that business is operating out of there,
He would have
you
one truck a
still,
day. Yeah.
you still don't see much traffic down that road. I mean,
But reality is, like, she's right. It's not necessarily, now, if you look at Grass Hill, for instance, right? You go Grass Hill Drive. Okay, if you go to Grass Hill off of Bandera, on your left, all of these are R6, and they all front their driveways on Grass Hill. Every single one.
that's the Shipley's entrance.
Yes. They all, and that is a collector. That's a 60-foot right away. It's a collector. That is a collector. It's actually listed as a collector in the, so you have Evers, you have Seneca Drive, you have Grass Hill, you have, there's a whole bunch of them that are collectors. Sawyer is not. And on Grass Hill, that whole row is actually fronting Grass Hill. And these are R6 lots. They're not like, R2 or any of that. So I encourage you, I didn't want to take.
I think Barbara Briscoe, do you know her? I think she lives there, right? On those, okay.
Yeah. So
Those
there's-
those are newer than a lot of the homes in.
The streets the street is wider.
Yeah, it is a wide street,
Wide,
yeah.
much
No,
more
it
wider
is a
than
wide street,
Sawyer
yeah.
Road.
But the argument is that you cannot front a collector. If the argument is true here, that because it's lighter.
Like that came after, like, some of these subdivisions have been here since the sixties.
Right.
Our codes in general, if you look at our code book, they're fairly new codes, because for a long time our city operated like Wild West, I don't know. And so a lot of the development, the way we're laid out, has to do with not having appropriate planning, appropriate master planning. I mean, I'm not trying to ding anybody, but from the time y'all were incorporated, it took like 30 years before y'all got like a planning department and got codes in place and all of that. And so the reason you don't have a downtown, the reason you don't have, like, there's a lot, because you didn't have appropriate planning for your city. Or here now, you have ordinances, you have planning in place. Again, I'm not saying I oppose the project, you know, me and that. I don't know if there's a way to maybe give you a variance on the frontage and shorten the lot and maybe do what Andrew Roof was suggesting, which is just right away to allow. My concern is like somebody backing out, they're gonna have to cross the yellow line in most cases. If you've ever seen people back out of the house, they're blocking 2 lanes of traffic to back out to turn right or left. So my concern is to give them a way to back out that's a little safer. I just see it happen on Seneca all the time. They pull out, especially the lady on the corner, she goes straight back, and then she's gotta go forward, and it like, you know, I stand there and I watch them, and it can be problems. Sometimes I don't even think they look, they just pull out now, like just pray and just pull out on Seneca.
Right,
So,
right. Hoping people are watching.
So I'm sorry, I'm just gonna finish this. It's important to understand.
I don't know how the committee feels, I mean, it is like 9:15, and so.
I'm
yeah.
fine, honestly. If I answered your questions, you guys can make a call on it. I'm good.
I mean, I will say, I guess we should probably open up the public portion of this meeting. It's 9:14.
I'm in favor. Developers, great.
All right, and it is 9:15, and we'll close the public portion of this meeting. I mean, at this point, I feel like this is a move in the right direction. That's my opinion. I know that there's some other concerns, but I think that will be addressed at some point in the process. But I agree. I mean, why would we want a situation with more density back there, especially knowing that Bandera is already saturated, you know? I think it's a move in the right direction. So, Mr. Diaz, do you?
Yeah, just one quick, I'm sorry, can you put that slide that you had back up there? I know there was a mention about the fire department having an issue with the road being too narrow. Which one is it? Is it that bottom U?
There's no issue with our roads being narrow. The fire,
the original plan, it
the
was
fire
20,
department's
so it was 20 feet width, updated it now to, what is it, 26?
Well, our OW,
So there's no,
right-of-way is like 38 all around.
so there's no issue with the fire department getting a truck through here?
No, I talked to him actually in person.
Kristen?
I don't know, I haven't talked to Mike with the new plan, I'll be honest with you. Like, we got these changes yesterday afternoon or last couple of days. And so, but, I mean, from the original plan to now, I've seen, so for context, from April 21st to now, I'm on revision 3. So to say I get to each one and go through with a fine tooth comb, no. I mean, I don't stop what I'm doing to do that. I will between now and the council meeting.
But I think you also said that at some point with the other developments, that the fire chief and yourself, y'all preferred something wider as well, but that you could still get a vehicle through there.
So as long as they're not requesting, so we will always defer to we don't like variances.
Sure.
City staff lives within the code that was adopted by council.
Correct.
So we will always support whatever the code says. So all of his variances, I'm not a fan of, because city staff always support the way the code was written. PDD adoption, though, was supposed to be for flexible zoning to allow projects to go in that didn't But that's also why now the council has gotten rid of the PDD, because they don't like the flexibility of a PDD. That doesn't apply to Samir. It
Because
has nothing to do with this particular
he's already,
project.
yeah.
But in this particular case, that's why PDDs exist. But city staff will always, if you ask my opinion, Mike's opinion, David's opinion, we're gonna say, what does the code say? That's what we want. We will always say that. It is up to the council, the zoning commission, and the
Yeah.
community to determine
Well,
what is palatable to y'all in forms of a variance.
well, and I mean, you know, we can spend all night here, but ultimately this is gonna go to council. I mean, we're sending this up to council and they'll have the final say on it, so. I mean, that is what it is. Okay. Mr. Yarnell?
I'm with Dr. Crystal on the backing out onto Sawyer Road. We have it in several examples already. If we could address that issue some way that would be amenable to both sides, I would like to see that. I spent considerable time going through this packet, trying to be ready for this meeting. And when I get here, I get a whole new packet I've never seen before. And that's kind of an issue, because how are you gonna prepare for a meeting if you get new information at the dais when you sit down? So if there's any way to address that issue, I would appreciate it.
So I need to respond to that, because when a developer, and this is, I mean, so we had this conversation with Samir earlier today, and why I don't like doing that either, but you do have laws called a shot clock. So as soon as he submits his plan, there's something called a shot clock. And so we're required, I don't have a choice, you have to hear it. But during that time, if he makes amendments or changes to adhere to fire department or engineering concerns, that can happen. We now have different posting requirements. We used to be able to count weekends
Right.
and holidays, and now that doesn't happen. And so I had to post this packet with what he had on April 21st, which today's the 28th. And so between then and now, he was trying to address the engineer's comments, staff's comments, and the fire department's comments, because he didn't want a whole bunch of opposition this evening. So that's why you have a new set of plans. Normally, back in the old days before shot clock, we would have said, too bad, so sad, sir, you're gonna have to be postponed to a different date. But that no longer happens anymore, because we have shot clock requirements. Because if I don't bring it to you, then that means his project goes right away, no comments, no concerns. He would have preferred me to delay the project, because if I failed on that shot clock, he gets what he wants. And so we don't function that way, we bring it to y'all, and then we would then take it to the city council in order.
But, yeah, again, this is all gonna go to city council, so, I think, again, we could get in the weeds more and more about this, but, I mean, we ultimately gotta decide, is this a move in the right direction? Are we going backwards? And,
Are we voting?
and I think we are voting tonight, no?
You make your recommendation.
Okay. All right, I will, it is 9:21, and I'll entertain a motion.
Did y'all close the public hearing? Did I miss that?
Yes, we did. I did, right?
9:15.
I move that we accept the variation, is it, as exists, with our comments and concerns noted. And that's what should go to council.
Okay. I'll take a second on that if,
A second.
okay. All those in favor, say aye. Aye. Any nays?
Nay.
Aye.
Okay. So we have, do y'all want to take roll on this, or, looks like Mr. Yarnell is, this is, oh, for nays?
So Olin and Abraham, so the motion passed.
Okay. Do you need to note who that was? Well, yeah, obviously everyone else will, right. Okay, very good. All right, it is 9:22, and I'll adjourn this meeting. Thank you.
Oh, that's awful loud.
And I remember we.
You need to put, you put a pad on that.
Yeah, we had a. It was, what was it? The home rule charter?
Oh.
We were going over that. Weren't you part of that?
Yeah.
David Joel.
Let me see.
I remember there was like dust flying.
And you had to get one.
No, the mayor was using it earlier down there.
Oh, I thought.
Yeah, it's awful loud, especially on the mics.
It is loud. Oh, and you think what I did was loud? Did you know it didn't work?
You and I are.
You're right behind me.
Current market prices to buy a house, right? If you're gonna buy a home.
All right, we'll see you guys.
In San Antonio.
All right, thank you.
Bye.
And you take into account.
You didn't need me to sign anything tonight, did you? No.
Traffic, you want access to 410. I mean, we live in a ideal location. We go 410 in a second, and downtown very quickly. And so, this project has a chance because of the proximity to 410. But would you want to live there? I would.
A young person who can't afford anything else, even if these are 1,300, these are basically going to be starter homes, or they're going to be for older people who. I'm old. I don't want a two-story.
True, but these are still going to be $300,000. Maybe closer to 400.
But everything is.
Yeah.
Everything's that way.
Yeah. You know, and. So.
It's affordable. I don't know how people afford to buy these things. And honestly, I was in the one over there off of Huebner, that subdivision, whatever it's called. In Milton. Yeah. And I found some of the prices on those.
Oh, yeah? They weren't selling, were they?
There were, when I went in there, they were like reduced. When I went in there were several that were reduced. So they were probably not selling like it. Now, there's a lot of houses in there already, but the trilogy doesn't seem to be selling. There's no construction going on there.
I mean, they're building two houses at a time next to one another. They sold and inhabited.
And the price of the houses are so much higher. I paid my house in Green Valley there. I paid $100,000. $5,000 for it.
My mom's house next to Don. She bought it for $62,000.
And the interest rates were so how affordable housing is not, but to be honest with you, this will probably wind up a rental community too.
What bugs me is you don't have to build that many houses. He's looking at it from. Anyway,
Oh, I am, and it is, oh, Crystal, why do you think I love you so much? Take care.
Bye.
Great to see you. I'll take a final look, make sure everything's clean. I'll make sure everything's clean for you. Yeah, so that's our meeting. Oh, like 11
Can you
o'clock.
post it on how that goes? I'm curious.
Take care.
We'll see you.
Bye, Michael, you did good.
We'll see you. Have a good evening.